Hi, my name is Kala Anand. Today I'm going to narrate a story on consumer complaints received by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau on financial products and services, including bank accounts, credit cards, mortgages, and other types of consumer credit. The CFPB was established as part of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act in 2010. Consumers use the agency's website to submit complaints about financial services institutions. Each week, the CFPB sends consumer complaints about financial products and services to companies for response. Those complaints are published and collected in the database once the company responds or after 15 days, whichever happens first. The CFPB does not verify the accuracy of all facts alleged in the complaints, but takes steps to confirm a commercial relationship between the consumer and the identified company exists. I have taken the data set from data.gov. The database contains the name of the provider, product, date, state, company's response, and other information. I have excluded 2018 from the dataset as the year is still in progress and it will skew the calculations. In the states field, there were about 8 unknown values which were unidentified, and I have excluded them as well. And I also have taken data from census.gov to retrieve the United States and Puerto Rico population by state for the years 2011 to 2017. Now let's look at the story to see what we can gather from the data. This story point talks about the number of complaints by year and quarter and also the year-over-year change, percentage change. We see that the complaints have been consistently growing each year. The quarterly chart shows that the complaints peak during the third quarter each year for almost all the years. It seems that there might be an event triggering the increase during these months of July through September. And the year-over-year also shows that it's been consistently increasing each year. Next, I have products by year. These are the products the consumers have filed complaints for. The bottom chart shows the top products for all the years as a total. Mortgage, debt collection, and credit reporting are the top 3 products in the list. In the chart above, we see the products trending over the years. Although the complaints for mortgage and credit reporting seem to have come down in 2017, they are still in the top 3 each year. And here is the extension of what we just discussed about the products by year, just a tree map view by year. And again, it shows that these 3 products have been consistently increasing year over year. This story point shows the timely response by companies to consumers and if the consumers disputed the response provided by the company. The company's timely response has been increasing consistently each year, indicated by the bigger bar in this chart. And from the second chart, we see that not many consumers have disputed the company's response to the complaints, and which is considered a good thing, I guess, because the companies are able to provide a reasonable and relevant response to the consumers about their complaints. Now let's move on to the next story point. This map shows a pie chart of consumer disputes by state. The size of the pie indicates the number of complaints overall all the years, and the pie wedges indicate the consumer disputes, if it is a yes or no, or if it is not applicable. Just looking at the size of the pie, we can see that California, Florida, Texas, and New York are the bigger states in terms of complaints. And then if you look at the pie wedges, for all these states, it indicates that the majority of the consumers for all these states did not dispute, which is indicated by the orange bar for each of these pies. And now let's move on to the next story point. This visualization shows the mode of submission used by the consumer to file a complaint. Here, the size of the circle represents the number of complaints, and the color represents the mode of submission. Clearly, we can tell that the web form was the preferred, most preferred form of submission by the consumers, and email was the least preferred. And also, we from the earlier story points that we gathered about the products, that mortgage, debt collection, and credit reporting are again the top three products. Regardless of which mode of submission the consumers used, they still obviously are the top three products that were filed for the complaint against for. Next, we have complaints by company to see which companies are ranked with the most number of complaints. We see that Equifax is the top in the list, followed by Bank of America and Experian and so on and so forth. And I also have the types of responses provided by the company to consumers who filed the complaints. So majority of these complaints were closed with an explanation, which is the companies just resolve the issue with an explanation to the consumers. Even if we look at each year individually, it seems to be consistently the same thing, that the issue was closed with an explanation. And moving on to the next story point. This view shows the states with the number of complaints, like the top states showing the highest number of complaints. As we discussed earlier, California, Florida, Texas, and New York are the top in the list. And so the next slide, I have a similar thing, except that I have I'm showing the number of complaints by state and by each year. I have pulled the population in the mix here to show the complaints per 1 million population for each state. So after doing that, I noticed that the complaints were trending almost the same for each state, each state and year over year. So I sorted the year 2017 in descending order to see the top states with highest complaints. Previously, when we were looking at the complaints by state, we noticed that California, Florida, Texas, and New York were the top 4 in the list. However, if we notice here, the order has changed due to bringing the population in the mix. So now District of Columbia, Georgia, Delaware, and Maryland are the top 4 in the list. So this brings us to the end of the story. So far we have gathered few things about the data. So like the number of complaints have been increasing each year, one thing, and the next is mortgage, debt collection, and credit reporting are the top most products on which the consumers have filed complaints for. And most of the complaints are coming from the 4 states which I mentioned earlier, which is California, Florida, Texas, and New York. And web is the most preferred mode of submission by consumers for filing complaints. And Equifax, Bank of America, Experian are the top 3 companies against which consumers file complaints. And the rate of timely response by the companies is over 90%. And the issues are closed with an explanation most of the time. So that ends my story. I hope you found my presentation useful, and I hope you liked it. So you can feel free to explore further, other information which I have included in this visualization. And thank you for watching my video. Thank you. Bye.